welcome to week 5. Oh, I don't know what happened then. Yeah, I don't know if the first bit of my speech got cut off there, but welcome to week 5 anyway. Today is Blues Week. I'm going to be looking at blues music and writing a blues song. But before I start, as always, every week I've been, as you know, if you go back through the previous videos, I've been just covering some C major scale, C major key theory. So, as always, I've got my little toy keyboard. So, over the last few weeks, we've been looking at different chords in the key of C. Just to recap again, I repeat this every week, but you know, repetition is what makes it all go in. So, if we start on the C note, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's the key of C major. So the first chord is a C major. We've learnt that already. The next chord is a D minor. Chord number 3 is an E minor. Chord number 4 is F major. Number 5 is G major. Number 6 we did last week, and that's A minor. The 7th chord is something called a minor flat 5. In this case, it's a B minor flat 5. And it's like a minor, but if we were playing the perfect 5th, which is the 5th note, which in the chord, that would be a B minor chord. But in the key of C, or in any key, the 7th chord is always going to be a minor flat 5. So it sounds like this, which is it's a diminished chord basically. And then from there, we're back at C again. So that's all 7 chords of the key of C. As always, I'm going to quickly show you those chords on first the ukulele. So you can now play through the whole scale in chords. So you've got C, D minor, E minor, F, G, I've forgotten where A minor is. Oh yeah, A minor, that one. And then the B minor flat 5. Hold on a minute, wrong way around. So if you make, with a G chord, you make a triangle, which I've covered before, where you put 2 fingers there, 1 finger there, and you've got like a triangle shape. If you swap that round the other way, and I must point out, if you also play all of the strings, that's actually a G7, which you can always use the 5th chord to substitute the 7th chord if you want to, because the only difference is if I just play the 3 strings, that's the B minor flat 5. If I also put in the G, so that's a G string, that's a G7 chord. I'm going to talk a bit more about 7s later, but again, I'm always conscious this is meant to be more of an introductory kind of course, so I don't want to baffle you too much, but I'll be talking about dominant 7 chords a little bit later. They're a bluesy sounding chord, and the 5th chord of any major key is always, if you extend it to a 7, it'll always be a dominant 7 chord. Anyway, moving on from that, I'm going to quickly show you the chord on the guitar. So once again, we have C, D minor, E minor. I realise you can't see my hands there. One moment. I also have a whiteboard behind me today, so I'm always having to rejig my setup. Okay, so we've got C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor. And then if you want to play the B minor, or it can be a B minor 7 flat 5, but the chord anyway, the B minor flat 5, the 7th chord, 1 finger there, 1 finger there. So I'm using the 2nd fret and I'm using the 3rd fret. I'm going to put finger number 1 on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th string, which is your A string. The note is B. 1 finger there, 2 strings across on the same fret. I put finger number 2, so they're side by side like that. Finger number 3 is going to go on the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4th string, and that's on the 3rd fret. And then finger number 4 is going on the B string, which is the 2nd string on the 3rd fret. So your fingers are sort of in a kind of parallelogram shape. So that's a B minor flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5, and then back to C. Okay. But as I said, you can substitute that if you just want to play the 5th chord, but play it with the 7 added on, the 7 out of that scale. So you're just adding on, if you were play the 1, 3, 5, if you count up to the 7th note of the scale and put that on as well, that will also work. So C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and then I'm going to play G7 this time. G7, C. Okay. So I just wanted to cover that and get that out of the way. I just realised as well, I've not actually read out the disclaimer yet. I forgot to do that. So every week I just have to read this out. If you're under 18, please tell your parents that you are doing this session. Feel free to ask any questions, make comments. Stay safe online by only using your first name and don't give out any of your contact details. And most importantly, I hope you enjoyed today's session. So we've looked at all the chords in C major, but today there are 3 chords that I'm going to be focusing on. As I say, this is the blues session. So I think in a previous session I touched on chord 1, 4, and 5 of the, well, if it's in C, it's C major, it's C, F, and G. And basically, that's the core of like blues if you're going to write a blues song. And it moves on into rock and roll and just an awful lot, probably thousands of pop songs have used that chord format. Blues music, just sorry if you can hear a rumbling. There's an enormous military plane keeps flying over my house, and I live very close to Leeds Airport, so it's very exciting but very annoying when you're trying to do a music session. Anyway, so yeah, blues basically goes back to the 1870s in the deep south of America, where it was originated by Afro-Americans, and as I said, it's the roots of everything. It's the roots of rock and roll, popular music. Everything sort of comes from the blues, really. So, as I said, we'll be looking at 1, 4, 5 chord progressions. So I'm going to get my guitar. So we've got, if we're playing in the key of C, C is chord 1, F is chord 4, and G is chord 5. Okay, and then when we talk about chord progressions, which again is something that's come up quite a lot, your chord progression is just a bunch of chords that you stick together, and that will be like your verse, or maybe that just goes round and round, and that's what you base your song on. Behind me, I've drawn out something on my whiteboard. I'm going to go to that shortly, but you often hear, like you'll hear 12-bar blues. You may have come across that saying. I'm going to play you an 8-bar blues cycle. So if we're in C, there might be, when I talk about bars, I'm talking about if we're counting in 4, so 4 beats to a bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what a bar is. That section of those 4 counts, that's a bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2 bars of C, F, C. We're now up to 4. This is 5. G, F, C, G. So I've just played an 8-bar blues. I've just taken the 1, 4, 5 chords and put them together in what's quite a familiar sort of group of chords. Lost the words. So I'm going to play that again. So we've got chord 1, chord 1, chord 4, chord 1, chord 5, chord 1, chord 4, sorry, chord 1, and then I'm going to go back to 5. You can just stay on the 1. So that's just an example of a sort of, as I say, a blues progression. That's an 8-bar blues. Now, if you want to make those chords sound a little bit bluesier, you can turn them into dominant 7 chords. Now, that's not as scary as it sounds. I'm going to explain what that means. So, again, I'm going to grab my keyboard. In fact, before I do, I'm just going to play those chords as 7s. So instead of playing a C, which is a 1 chord, I'm going to turn that into a C7. So a dominant 7 chord would just be written as, if it's a C, it's a C7. There are other types of 7s. There are major 7s and minor 7s, and there's also a minor major 7, which isn't so common. But this, so we've got the C7 chord, and then if we go to F7, then if you can hear, it just sounds a little bit bluesier, a bit kind of wonkier, funkier. So that's G7 and then C7. So if I play a normal C, it sounds a little bit purer, a bit kind of straighter. And then if I put that 7 on, it just adds that kind of bluesy sound. Here's a plain F. If I turn it to an F7, you can hear again how it changes. And again, G, this is normal G. I'm going to play that as G7. And then back to C7. So what's happening there? If you want to make your chords funkier, bluesier, grab my old wonky keyboard. So again, just a minute, just because it's the plainest, easiest way. If we refer back to the old key of C, so there's a C chord. Try and make this as clear as I can. As I say, if we're talking, I'm going to give you a big word now, diatonic. And what diatonic, if I'm speaking diatonically, I'm talking about we're only using, if we're working in the key of C, all of the notes we use are just going to be the notes that are relative to the key of C. So we're not using any of the black notes because the key of C only has the white notes. So if I play that C chord, we've got 1, 3, and 5. And then if I also add in 7, it's difficult when I have to sort of hold the keyboard, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to play 1, 3, 5, 7. That's a C major 7 chord. And that's the chord that is relative to the key of C. I'm only using notes that are in the key of C. So if I move up 1 to D, we know that's a D minor. And then from there, if I again play what would be the 7th note, although in this case it's note number 8, but so we've got 1, 3, 5, 7. That's a D minor 7. The next one is an A minor 7. Then we've got a B major 7. Hold on a minute, B, where am I? That was it. Sorry, start again. So it was an E minor 7 as a 3rd chord. F major 7. But then the 5th chord of any sort of major key, the 7 is always like naturally a dominant 7. And what that means is that's that chord that gives you that bluesy sound. So again, we're on G. We've got 1, 3, 5. And then when we put the 7 on, it gives you that sort of bluesy sound because the 7, if it was a major 7 chord, a G major 7 chord, we'd play the black note, it would be an F sharp. That's because that's playing in the key of G. I'm not going to confuse you too much. So we've got G. The next natural note happens to be a minor 3rd up from the 5th. I want to try and make this as clear as possible to you. So if you want to get a dominant 7, no matter what key you're in, if you're playing a major chord, if you count from that's the fifth note of the G chord. Now, you've heard me mention semitones before, or half steps, literally the next note along. If you count one, so that's one, you're going to go, that's your fifth note. 1, 2, 3, hold on a minute. It's hard when you're looking from a funny angle. 1, 2. So you're going to count 4. So there's your fifth note. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that step, that interval is called a minor third, which normally is what makes your minor chord minor, because the third note. But when it's going from the fifth of a major chord and you put that minor third on, it's a minor 7. So you end up with, basically that's how you get a dominant 7 chord. I'm not going to go on too much more about it. That's the basic rule. So if you're playing on a guitar or a ukulele, the best thing that I can suggest to you right now, if you Google ukulele chords or guitar chords, you can always find the chord shapes. If you play a bit of guitar, you'll probably be used to looking at little chord boxes. So if you're not sure what the chord shapes are, just Google it. So for example, that's an A chord, that's an A7, that's a D chord, that's a D7. And just by changing your chords into 7s, you'll get that bluesy sound. But moving on from there, what have I got here? Yeah, we've done that. So remember, from the fifth note, count up 4 semitones, and that's how you get your minor 7, which fits on top of your major chord. Hence dominant 7. But we don't write dominant 7, we just write, if it's a G7, it's a G and a 7, and that's it. Okay, so that's a little bit about chords. Probably the most common sort of blues progression, which is really widely used in rock and roll as well, and other types of music, probably find it in soul and stuff, in fact you do, is a 12-bar blues. Now, again, I'm aware that some people who are watching this may have a very, very basic knowledge of music, and some of you might be a bit more sort of au fait with things like 12-bar blueses. If you play an instrument and you've jammed in a band, there's a good chance you know what a 12-bar is without realising it as well. So I wanted to have a look at a little 12-bar blues. This first example, I've got a couple of different examples, but they're all, again, based around 1, 4, and 5. I hope you can see. I've put some numbers. So I've got these gaps marked out. These are my bars. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. Okay. And I've put whether it's a 1 chord, a 4 chord, or a 5 chord in there. And then that's relative to whatever key you're playing in. I'm going to go into that a little bit later on. I'd just like to say it's going to be a bit of a long one today. Last week was a bit of a shorter session. This one, it might become a bit much for you. If it does, this session is going to be put in the playlist. So you can always revisit it if your head's just a bit fried. Because I remember us just saying to someone recently when I was studying music years ago, our tutor every Monday morning would absolutely hammer our heads with theory, and we'd all be sat there going, no more! So it's really hard when you're learning. As I say, I'm trying to keep this light, but I've picked out a song. It's a song by an old blues guitarist, singer, artist called Lonnie Johnson. At the end of the session today, in the description below, I'm going to copy across a load of links to some just really great stuff that you need to check out. But I'm going to play you just a couple of verses of this song. Again, the first thing you'll notice with this, it's a blues. Blues is notorious for being about feeling bad. It's about frame of mind. It's about feeling bad about something, and it's about expression, I suppose. So this isn't a happy song. This is a song by somebody who's been messed around by their lover, I guess. It's called Another Night to Cry. So I'm going to try and play this one. So this is actually in the key of G. So again, you might not be able to see my fingers so well, but the 1, 4, 5 chords in the key of G. Again, I'm going to cover this a bit later in the session. So chord number 1 is G, chord number 2 is C, chord number 3 is D or D7, and then back to G. So So it goes a bit like this. Well, I never had to cry. Baby, just crying over you. Well, I've got another night to cry. Another night to cry over you. Well, you hurt me so bad and so long, and there's nothing I can do. Oh, I'm so in love with you, and you know it, and I can't help myself. Yes, I'm so in love with you, and you know it, and I can't help myself. Oh, you laugh in my face when I say I love you, and walk away with somebody else. So that's just 2 verses of the song, and what I've done, I've written out the chords for this particular type of 12-bar blues. So it's a 1 chord, and then it goes to 4, then it goes to 1, another bar of 1, and then it goes 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 1, 5, 4, 1, 5. Although on the recording, I think he actually hangs on the 1 a bit longer and changes the 5 right at the end of the bar. So again, that's just personal choice. But so that's one type of 12-bar blues. So I'm just going to play through that again. So we've got chord number 1, chord number 4, chord number 5. So bar 1 is 2, 3, 4. That's a 4. And then back to G. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Then we go to the 4th chord again. And again, that's bar number 6. And then back to G again, which is number 1. Now we're going up to number 5. 2, 3, 4. Now we go to 4. And now we're going back to chord number 1. And then back to chord number 5. So that's a 12-bar blues cycle. You could just play that round and round and round. You could jam that with a band or whatever. There is another sort of more, probably a 12-bar blues format that's a bit more common that I've come across a bit more. And I'm just going to write that one down for you as well. So if I get the old wiping rag out. So I think the ending actually is pretty much the same, but there's a famous song, a brilliant song. Again, I'm going to post a link. It's called Got My Mojo Working by Muddy Waters, and there's an absolutely brilliant performance of that you should look at in a bit. But that song uses a more sort of traditional, just to me, I think of this as being like a more sort of recognisable standard 12-bar blues. So you've got 4 bars of 1. So again, if I go back to the key of C, C's 1, F's 4, G's 5. So first chord. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Then we go to 4. And then we go back to 1. So then we go, so 4, hold on a minute. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Now we go to the 5. 5, 2, 3, 4, 4. And then 1. 5. So it's not really that different. It was just the start hangs on the first chord for a bit longer. So there's loads and loads of chords, loads of songs that just use that kind of format of a straight up 12-bar blues. And one of the songs that brings me on to the next bit. There's a song that I play that I absolutely love by a great singer called Etta James. called WOMAN. There are 2 songs called WOMAN. I've heard another version, like a little jazzy bluesy thing, that's I think Peggy Lee did a famous cover of. But this particular song, Woman, the verses this song are just straight up 12-bar songs. Sorry, bear with me a second. Jim, could you just grab him? Sorry about this. My little boy's just trying to... Oh, here we go. Are you going to say hi to everyone? Jim, I need you to just come and grab him. Sorry, son, but you can't be... Whoops. It had to happen eventually. No, Harvey, you need to come here. I'm actually... Oh, Harvey's got the blues now. He's got the I can't join in blues. See you later. Bye. Okay, comedy toddler moment. So, yeah, Woman. The verses use this 12-bar format. So I'm going to play it in C. I normally play it in B, but again, for the sake of sticking with the C scale at the moment, the C key. So I'm in good company with a Zoom point. So this song goes like this. Talking about your man, always ready to go. When it comes to moving, baby, you're awful slow. I'm a W-I-N, one A and an N. I'm a woman. So that's the first verse of Woman. That literally uses this chord progression, which, as I say, pops up loads. But it also has another section to it. And this is a transition now where I'd like to talk about the A-A-B-A song format. So previously, we've talked about, I've looked at verses and choruses in pop songs, and I've not done so much with this yet, but also between a verse and a chorus, a lot of songs often have a connecting section called a bridge. So it's just another little bit that's different. In some songs, you have a middle 8 section. So your pop song's going along, and all of a sudden, it does maybe 8 bars of this sort of just something different, and then it goes back to sort of the main vibe of the song. With a lot of blues, and equally with a lot of jazz standards, which is something that I really, really love playing, you tend to find this song format, which is you have an A section and a B section. So the Etta James song, that was the A section I just played. So the A is like a verse. So the format is you've got 2 A sections. They can have different lyrics. But it's the A section twice. So like a verse straight into another verse. Then it changes into a B section. So there might be something different there. And then it goes back to the A section. And that's a really common format, as I say, for blues and for jazz. So Woman by Etta James is a fine example of that. So I've just played you the first verse. We go straight into the second verse. You ain't got nothing in your pocket to keep no girl alive. She's got something for all you men, or something to make you cry. Oh. I'm a W-I-N, one A and an N. I'm a woman. Now, the 12 bar there, you can just stay on the 1. You don't have to go up to the 5. That's a personal choice. But then what happens is it goes into the B section. So we're still using 1, 4, and 5 chords. But it goes to the 4, and it goes, now David Crockett, he was the king of the wild frontier. We go back to 1. I'd tear him down if he brought his own dead self here. Back to the 4. Jesse James and Frank James, baddest man in the land. Up to 5, we've got some women who make him eat out of our hands. And then it goes back to the A section again. For John Dillinger, the woman in red got him. I'll teach all you hard boys about a W-O-M-A-N. Yeah, I'm a W-O-M-A-N. I'm a woman. So that's my humble take on an Etta James song. So that's just covering A song format. Okay. Let me see what else was I going to look at. Yeah. So I get other songs which again use this. There's a brilliant song. You have to again check out the links at the end. I've got my Mojo working by Muddy Waters. Classic. It's great. So again, it's this time I'm going to play in the key of E. So 1, 4, and 5 chords of the key of E. Again, if you want to know exactly how to play the chords, just Google. You'll easily be able to find these chords as E, as A, and B or B7. So E, A, B. I'm playing the B7. They are the 1, 4, 5 chords of the key of E. So I'll just sing you a quick verse of this. Let me see. I got my mojo working, but it don't seem to work on you. So that's the verse 4 bars. Got my mojo working, but it don't seem to work on you. I wanna love you so bad till I don't know what to do. And then it goes into got my mojo working, and then at that point there's people echoing, and that's something you come across in blues quite a lot. So call and response. So got my mojo working, got my mojo working, got my mojo. You get the vibe. I'll just look like I'm a bit crazy for sitting shouting back and forth with myself, but that's the song. I'll post you the link. Again, that's just a quick. I just wanted to show you that it uses this 12 bar progression. And another one that I think is I wanted to bring up that's just as basic down the line, again 12 bar as it gets, is a song more recently. I say recently, it's over 10 years old now, probably more closer to 15. There was a singer a few years ago called Duffy, and she did a song called Mercy. And that is, again, it's just this chord progression. So if I sing the verse, you might recognise the song. So again, we're still in C. I'm begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? I'm begging you for mercy. Am I in the right key there? Never knew. But I got to be true. Just reminded myself of the song. So it goes. I'm begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? I'm begging you for mercy. Oh, why don't you release me? Why don't you release me? Again. 12 bar, and then the verses do that as well. It's just the same song all the way through. I've been talking about, the 1, 4, 5 chords and how they move from one place to another. How you can transfer. I must be hungry, my brain's la 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 la. Chords, what fairies. Anyway, I'm just gonna clean this board, because what I want to do next is just look at transposing your 1, 4, 5 chord progressions or the chords to different keys. So we've been looking at, got my pen ready. We've primarily looked at the key of C. So in the key of C, you've got, we're in about 7s right now, just straight 1, 4, 5 chords. So we've got C, F, G. Board's a bit wet, but you've got your C, F, and G, and that's 1, 4, 5. If you were, what am I doing now? I should know these off by now. I sort of do. Let's say we take the 5th chord. Let's take the G, let's look at the chords in the key of G. So if we know that our first chord is a G, again, wetboard doesn't help. Okay, so we've got G. The fourth chord in the key of G is a C. And then the fifth chord is a D. So C, F, G, key of C, C, F, G. They're your 1, 4, 5 chords. If you want to play in the key of G, you want to do 12-bar blues, you play G for 1, you play C for 4, and you play D for 5. I'm not going to give you loads of keys, but I'm going to give you the key of D, since we ended on the D. So if we're now in the key of D, your 1, 4, 5 chord for the key of D, they are D, G, and A. And then if you want to do 1, 4, 5 chords for, let's do the key of A, since we ended on that. So A major, D, and E. And then I'm going to give you one more key. There are 12 keys because there are 12 notes in the westernized music system. You look at a piano, as I say, from C going up to the next C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the C above is a 13, but there are 12 notes. So we'll finish with E. First chord of the key of E is E, obviously. That's your root note, root chord. And then A is chord number 4, and B is chord number 5. So just to drum it on home, I'm just going to play through those for you. So if we're in the key of C, we've got C is number 1, then we go to F, that's number 4. Then we go to G, that's number 5. Then back to C. If we're in the key of G, we go G is number 1. La 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 C. And then we go up to D. And then we go back to G. So G, C, D. 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. If we're in the key of D, we're in the key of D now, and this is number 1. Now we're going to the G. Now we're going up to the 5, which is A. We're hitting the 5, and we're going to the D. Okay, key of A. Now let's start with an A7 as well. Okay, so we've got A is your number 1 chord. Then we go up to D, because that's number 4. Then we go to E, because that's number 5, and back to A. And then finally, E, key of E. Oh, it's the key of E. Then we go to A, because that's number 4. Then we go to B, or B7, and then back to E. So, yeah, that's just to give you a little bit more on the key front. But as long as you know your groups of 1, 4, 5 chords, and you're having a jam, you can't really go wrong. Okay, so I'm begging you for mercy. I just want to show you that song again. So it's weird. I can't pitch it now in my head. I think it's the pressure of being filmed. It's just I've been playing this all afternoon, messing around with it. But so if we're in the key of G, I love you. Let's stay true. So it's quite high. I'm begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? I'm begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? Why don't you release me? Okay, so we're going to go to D. I'm begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? begging you for mercy. Why don't you release me? Why don't you release me? So you can hear how I'm changing the key and it's changing where I'm singing. And from a singing point of view, you know, if you're working with a singer and they're finding it too low or too high, it's good to know about this. This is just, it's called transposition. I am transposing. So I'm taking the tune and the order it's in, but just moving it up or down the chromatic scale. So it's either making it lower or higher, but the actual quality and the framework of the tune itself doesn't change. You're just moving it. So yeah, that's that. Oh, 40 minutes. So it's going to be a longer one today. I warned you. I hope I'm not battering you too much. So, okay. So that's that. I'm not going to go there. I've actually put Son of a Preacher Man down because that's a fine example of a song that isn't necessarily following like this 12-bar format. It's a soul song, but it's a blues song. The interesting thing with Son of a Preacher Man is it has a key change later, but again, it is essentially just a 1-4-5 song. Very quickly, I'll just do this really quickly. So I'm not sort of following the 12-bar, but the verses really hang out on that 5th note. So it starts off with the 1, going to the 4, going to the 1, and then it goes to that 7 chord, the 5 chord, and it really gives it some tension. It hangs on that chord before it. So I'll just do it. I'll just play it, and then you'll hear it. So we've got Billy Ray was a preacher's son, and when his daddy would visit, he'd come along. When he got around and started talking, we go to the 7 now. That's when Billy would take me walking out through the backyard. We go walking, then he look into my eyes. Lord knows to my surprise, the only boy. So you can hear there on the verse, it uses that 7 to sort of put tension in there. Like, oh, what's going to happen? She's going out with this guy called Billy, and oh, he's nice. Anyway, so that's the verse. It goes into the chorus, but again, the chorus, it's a 12-bar long chorus, but it isn't a sort of 12-bar blues format. It's it does the 1 going up to the 4, back to the 1. So it goes like this. It goes, the only boy who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Oh yes, he was. So 1, 5, then it goes to the A, which is 4, and it hangs on the 4 before it goes back into the verse section. So just another example of, again, a 1-4-5 song. It's kind of something that I think of generally as a soul song, but it's very, very bluesy. It's rooted in blues. And also, it's not just the chords we're talking about today. What I'd like to move on to is melodies and what makes a blues melody. As you probably can hear, it has a certain sassiness to it, the melodies that you hear with blues, and that's just to do with the scales we're playing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to clear the board again. I hope that everything doesn't fall over and break everything else. You never can tell in this room. And again, that's going to be wet, so I'll just give that a quick dry off. So my pen works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write out the notes of the C major scale. Bear with me. We're getting into that theory stuff again. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Now we know that we then go back to C, which is an octave up, but they are the 7 notes of the major scale. So C, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. I'll put the C there in brackets. But there are 7 notes. Now, every major scale has a relative minor key. So every major key has a relative minor key. There are different kinds of minor scales, but the natural minor, the one that is completely derived from these notes, is, I'll show you, it's A minor. So I'm going to write it below. So I hope you can see. That's your C note. So if I count back 2 notes, if I count back 2 notes, C, C. What comes before C? It is B. And what comes before B? It's A. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then again in brackets, we'll put the A. But 7 notes. So that's just dry old letters on a board. So I'm going to demonstrate that. So again, C. So we've got C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. However, if we play from the A and we're playing all the same notes again, it's going to sound really different. So can you hear that sounds a bit more serious, a bit more kind of wistful, makes you frown a bit. The C major sounds kind of happy, and the minor scale sounds very serious. Okay. So what we've got there, we've got C major, the relative minor. Like the way we were transposing chords, every major key has its relative minor, and you get that by counting 2 notes back out of all of the diatonic notes of the scale. So what you will often come across in popular music, and I've just done, after this is finished, I'm going to post a couple of videos. I've done a video of me playing just a 12-bar blues for you to practice writing to. I've done another vocal video as I do every week, and this week we're just going to look at singing minor pentatonic scales. So I want to talk about pentatonic scales now. So you've got, as I say, 7 notes. If you think of the shape, a pentagon, very wobbly looking pentagon, but one nonetheless, it's a 5-sided shape. Pentatonic. It's a 5-note scale, and you get your pentatonic scale by taking out a couple of notes. So if we start with a major scale, we'll do major pentatonic. So basically, you've got 1. I'll rub out the one that we don't want. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We want to get rid of 4. And we want to get rid of 7. So hold on a minute. That one. We'll get rid of the B. So now we've got a scale made out of 5 notes. And then we go up to the 6, which again is a C as before. But we've got a 5-note scale. It's a pentatonic scale, major pentatonic. And it sounds like this. Now, I don't know if you know the song My Girl, another old soul song, but the riff at the start of that, it goes like this. And that is just, it just uses a major pentatonic scale. It's I got sunshine on a cloudy day. And the verses are just 1 chord to a 4 chord. To 1, it's just 1 and 4. That's what he uses in the verses. There are more chords in the chorus. Anyway, so that's a major pentatonic scale. If you use that to make melodies, you can't really go wrong. And then there's a minor pentatonic scale, which every rock guitarist in history would just disappear down a drain if they didn't have. So a minor pentatonic sounds like this. So that probably sounds really familiar to you. Again, if you play a bit of guitar, you've probably whittled around a bit with minor pentatonics. So to get a minor pentatonic, what we're going to cut out is, once again, it's we take away the 2 because there's no beat. Again, this is relative to this one. So it's the same notes. We're just taking away, they're in a different order. We take away the 5, we take away the 2 and the 6. So again, we're taking out the B and the F. And then, for the sake of playing it in C, so that's what it sounds like in C. So these are the sort of scales that are making up the melodies in the songs. Now, you can take it further and turn these scales into what you call a blues scale. So if we're doing it in the major, you can add another note, and it's called a blue note, or one that I particularly liked yesterday when I was reading up on Wikipedia is that people often call worried notes. I hadn't heard that before, but I quite like that. Like, oh, I get the blues and I'm a bit worried. Anyway, so I'm sorry. So then we go 1, 2. So if we go between, let me see about this. What have I done now? Oh yeah, so we've got 1, 2. So between the 2 and 3, the second and third note, if you put the little semitone, the note that's in between them in there, you get the blue note, and that turns it into a blues scale. There are other blue notes around the place as well, but we're just sticking with the basic blues scale for now. So C, D, D sharp, E, G, A, C. And then that was actually the major pentatonic, but if we're doing it in minor pentatonic, we've got 1, 3, 4, and then between the 4 and 5, if you slide that extra little note in there, that's your blue note. So again, just to make this a bit clearer, I'm going to quickly play that. So if we're doing it in minor, that's a blues scale. La 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 la. If we're doing it major, it's let me think about this. So that's what it sounds like if we're doing it major. So the blue note is da da da. That's your blue note. So it's like a little chromatic run. It's just I'm going to show you on the keyboard as well. Have a group of notes that are all next to each other that are just kind of thrown in there, and it works in other places. So that's the rules for it. And then you can just hear how melodies start to come from those kind of scales. I'm going to finish off with Macarona Blues, which I wrote yesterday. So I've written a blues song since that's what we're trying to do. I've just done it again to the straight 12-bar blues progression I showed you before. It's got 3 verses, and it's a bit silly. It's called the Corona Blues. So again, for the sake of it, we'll do it in C. Another thing is a real stereotype with blues music is that there is actually a song. I've not put it in the link. I will do. I think it's Lightnin Hopkins, Woke Up This Morning. If you listen to that, it's the epitome of blues. But anyway, so I woke up Monday morning. Woke up Monday morning. I'd run out of things to do. I'm tired and I'm empty with the old Corona blues. I'm going round in circles and I'm craving something new. I know, hold on a minute. Woke up this morning, I'd run out of things to do. I'm tired. I'm trying to remember how to put this together now. I should have practiced this before. So we've got 2, 3. Woke up this morning, run out of things to do. I'm tired and I'm empty with the old Corona blues. I'm going round in circles and I'm craving something new. I remember now. You could look me up and down and say she's got the mean Corona blues. I can't go and see my mother. I can't hang out with my friends. I want to go dancing, but they say it could be the end. I'm climbing up the walls. I'm going around the bend. You know it's true. You could look me up and down and say she's got the mean Corona blues. at that point, I could play around the 12 bar, and if I had a harmonica player, you could just go, I haven't got a harmonica player. So I'm going to go on to the third verse. I feel silly in my face mask, but I'm going to wear it anyway. And wear my gloves when I go shopping and use my card to pay. Well, give me some space there, lady. I guess social distancing isn't for you. Everybody keeps on getting closer, and it's giving me those mean corona blues. Don't know what it is in that case. Anyway, yeah, so that was just a silly little bluesy song and not together for fun. So hopefully, the ice cream van. I don't know, I question that with the corona. I'm not sure if I want an ice cream cone off somebody in a van. Anyway, so go away, mess around, write your own corona blues song, or whatever you want to write a blues song about. As I say, I'm about to post everything now. I've also got a vocal video. I've got a 12-bar blues video, as I did mention earlier, so they'll be going up on the playlist. And then next time, I think I'll have to check my list. I think we're doing lullabies next time. But anyway, go away, write a blues song, and I will see you next week. Bye!